Hey guys, welcome back to Style Reviews. We are about to transform the Sentinel Riobot R-18 VR-052F Cyclone. This is Mospeada, this is Stick Bernard, and yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. We're also going to go ahead and go over some tips and tricks in terms of some slight mods that I did to make this figure a lot more playable as well. So, alright, got Mospeada, as well as Stick, and the first thing that we're going to do, we're just going to go in order of the instructions. And it's weird because the transformation is a lot more quick than it comes off. So those two pieces in the back, just go ahead and separate them. Then on the front, same thing. So my pistons are going to probably flop a little bit more than yours. Reason being, I did a modification to make them a little bit more loose. So if this piece falls out or anything like that, it's because of a modification that I did and I prefer. Yours is not. They come very, very tight, unfortunately. So, those are the first two things. Get those two pieces separated. Pretty simple. Alright, now we're going to work a little bit more with the top of this section here. This piece here, that visor, or windshield, actually pushes back. Alright, see, push back from there to there. And from here, you want to take the handlebars, and I just put them in now. I think it's a little bit later in the instructions, but I don't want to skip over and forget. But these two headlights here, separate them, move them back. They're just on hinges. Alright, so get those back, and from there, you can actually separate these two halves. Alright, so what I want to show you is what you got now. You separated these two parts on the front and back on each side from the wheels. You've pushed this visor back. And then you've taken the headlights, moved those back so that you can separate the other two lights as well. Alright, so that's what you got from the front view. Now, this area here, take that, and that moves up. Alright, so I want to show you something here because this is going to help later when it comes to the actual fit. You can do it now or you can do it later, but this is actually a double hinge here, okay? So this piece that I'm pointing to right there, you want this up as far as possible, and you want to rotate it back on that. It's very tight, so it all wants to, you know, kind of rotate together, but the hinge needs to be up, and the cockpit, or this area, needs to be back. So it's best to do that now because that's actually going to help help this part fit around his head when it comes to the fitment. Alright? From there, this area right here, this gray area, goes up, and then all this, the seat area, that should be back, but it separates and comes in. So I'm trying to do this gently. There we go. It kind of just has a slider there. You'll feel it. Just slightly take it up. And boom. See how it goes in? And again, I'm going by the instructions too. And take that seat, push it in too. This is where it gets a little bit hard to do on camera because right now you've got both wheels balancing it. You've got these pieces kind of holding it on the ground or giving it something flat. You know what I mean? So now we've got to take the wheels and bring them around and up, which isn't hard at all. So what we're gonna do, you have to move this. It's just hard to keep this thing balanced at that point. Alright, so take that wheel, then we're gonna move this back. Just keeping it out of the way. It's just a big hinge. Now get that out of the way as well. So you take this, rotate it down so it kind of sets, and from there you move it up. Okay, and then this piece, rotate it around, and then let's see, just rotate that flat. So I'm going to bring this up some to show you what you got here. Alright, we took that tire, brought it around, rotated it down, and then took that same hinge and put it back up. And then we took this piece, swung it from here, and then just took this little flap, rotated it around. Simple. Now we're just doing the same thing on the other side, but this wheel, since it's the back wheel, it starts from the other side. So, kind of move this out of the way the best we can. That popped off at the ball joint. I'm not going to edit that out. No real point. In fact, I'll just let that rock for the sake of getting it out of the way. But, you know, of course, just be as careful as you can. And I forgot to put those leg holder down too. Alright, so yeah, that's a fun time. But basically, bring this around and yeah. If you watch the review, just the ball joints and tolerances and stuff like that on this piece in general aren't so fun. If you have it in hand, you know that they're not. So this is what you got. Same as the other side. I'm going to find a way to prop this up so I can finish this transformation. Believe it or not, we're over halfway done. Alright, so before we get to the next portion, which is one of the most feared areas because there's something really tight right there and hard to get off, but I found a trick. I just want to take a break, show you where you should be at right now. So basically, again, the separated windshield pushed back, these parts separated, these parts have been separated for a while. Both tires should be up. I've just got it balancing on the 4 pieces that connect to the wheel. It's actually kind of a cool fan mode or whatever. That's what you should have. So again, over halfway done. We're almost there. Alright, so what we're doing now is getting this guy separated. And this is one that a guy from Macross World wanted me to go over extensively, so I'm going to try to really show you guys the detail of it. This is, in the instructions, it's steps 16 and 17. Sorry if you heard that, it was me scratching my head. But, basically, the instructions will give you a couple of brace points. Kind of the seat, stick your finger in there, as well as that exhaust area right there. It's really not as hard as it looks. So, there's a part with a really tight tolerance right here. You're going to feel it as soon as you get it. It's hard to describe when you don't have it in hand. There's a tab right here where my finger's going in and pointing. Can't miss it. Basically, you take all of this. There's a double hinge right here. And pull this piece out. From there, you can basically go ahead and start getting it assembled on Bernard. But what I did, instead of trying to pull that really tight tab out, I actually took this piece and separated that first. I'll get that and pop that back on in a bit. But going with the double hinge, and from there, make sure that I'm doing this correctly. I pulled at the bottom of that double hinge. When I start to pull that out, that piece disconnects. Don't try to pull it from here. There's just a lot of frail stuff. It's really tight. You might start wiggling it side to side. If you take this piece right here, get it extended out a bit and pull it down, it will start to separate the whole thing. And boom, there you go. Alright, so per the instructions, now that you've got everything separated, the next step is going to be the handlebars, which we already tucked in earlier, as well as the sides of the crotch plate, just bringing those out. And also, there's a peg. If you watch the review, there's a hole for the stand to hold stick up. So that peg comes out of there, which you just saw right there. And then, just these headlights here, rotating them upwards on each side. So, and boom. I know it seems like something that looks kind of crazy, but it's actually ready to go ahead and go on a stick. Alright, and I'm trying my hardest to keep everything in frame, but Now we've got stick. Just put them in the middle of everything, right? It's pretty clear to see where things go. This is the crotch plate, so obviously that's going to go in front of his crotch. This area right here is obviously going to go under his taint area. This is his back. I just told you that this pegs into his back. So, not too crazy. But first, we're going to peg this into his back. And if you skip that step, it's no big deal. Since he doesn't have waist swivel or anything like that, he's not really going to get mixed up inside of there. Alright? So I'm going to find something to balance him up, and then we'll go from there. We've just pegged in the back. That's it. Okay, so here's what you got. I'm just using the stand that came with it. Duh. Get this more centered for you guys. And all we did, literally, was peg that piece into the back, like we're supposed to do. So, using those hinges, you can bring this up. And just making sure that they're extended all the way. There we go. I just had to make sure that he was aligned in terms of his back with everything. And this is where that piece I showed you earlier from this guy is important. Being able to fit his head all the way through. Because the first time I did it, I hadn't done that with the hinges. And had the darndest time, I actually had to take his head off to fit that over. So, okay, we just fit that piece around. And I'll show you where it goes from here. Just keeps traveling over, keeps traveling over. And then you bring this in and it kind of clips around here. Just trying to get them balanced there. Alright, so there we go. And what do we got from here? So, I'm just going by the instructions and making sure that I'm doing this in order for you guys. We already pushed the seat in, but if it gets pushed out, make sure that it is. Now, this is kind of here. I'm going to bring the camera in here. This is what you're going to want to do on both sides with this. And I'm leaving the wheel down, and then I'll put it back up after I'm done. You guys know where it goes. So, bring the shoulders out so that you could take this piece here, rotate it around, and then it pegs into this really tiny tab right there. It does not peg in the best. Alright, so we're bringing this piece around. Alright, and for this right here, that piece back there, make sure that it's rotated so that the piston is on the outside. And I'm not going to show each side, it's redundant. From here on, it's symmetrical, so we're just going to do one side for each. So, and again, that piston actually came out, and we'll go over that in the mod section here in a second. But once you get that pegged in, there you go, you can rotate that around. And zooming out a little bit. See how this rotates? It's got a rotation point there and a rotation point there. So, get that reinstalled, and from there, you can tab this into the bottom of the forearm here. Alright, and from there, this piece here, and you're going to do this on both sides as well. Rotate that part. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on my game. Take that, rotate that, rotate that, right? And then on here, there's a little tab that comes out. right there. That's going to peg into here. Now this is a slider joint. That's kind of a piston in itself. And just adjust it until you can... Oh. So you can find that hole by the knee. And boom. Do that for both sides. Alright, so just giving you a roundabout because we are pretty much done. Giving you a roundabout of what you should have here. Okay. Now we're going to zoom into the upper body because the rest deals with that. Let's find a couple of steps here. These two pieces, you're going to rotate these headlights down. And then these two pieces here, these two male tabs, tab into the two tabs on the side there. So it's actually really easy to even feel for. You don't have to really see it or anything like that. It's a natural fit. So there's that part. And for these, they rotate forward a little bit tight, so I would brace. Oh, man. I'm actually just going to do it on tab. They're very tight. Alright. Get this piece tabbed in again as well. Alright, so I'm untabbing this. And from there, what about that? And again, these guys. Okay. So we've got that, and you can see it's a bit fiddly. Why those are tight where so many other pieces are loose and stuff like that, I don't know. So, one of these sides has to be rotated. This one's fine. This part should be up. And basically, what you do on this side with the wheel cover, front wheel, pull it out and rotate it. Alright, so from there, and I'm actually doing that wrong. This one's correct. That part should be downwards. This one needs to be rotated. I don't know why they make both rotate if only one needs to be. So there's that. From there, on each side, this pulls down, and this, I can't get in there. It's sunken in really deep, but there's a top half there too that needs to be pulled out, like so, and then just pull it out a bit. Alright, so there's that, and you do that on the other side as well. And when it's all said and done, this is what you should have. St. Bernard, Cyclone ride armor, looking pretty tasty. So I'm actually going to bring this one more around as well, make sure he's balanced. Not going to do any posing or anything like that, that's in the full review. We'll definitely give you guys a roundabout here. And thank you for sticking with this video. Hopefully it helped you out. And boom, let's go ahead and get into some tips, tricks, mods. Hey, sorry, one thing that I forgot to add, I'm going to do this in a different setting because I'm taking some pictures right now, is extending the legs. So, you simply just take them and extend, and it extends right here. So, extend, extend, and boom, there you go. It really doesn't add anything to his height. It's still 6 1/4 inches tall, but makes it a little bit more of a solid 6 1/4 inches versus that kind of between an eighth and a quarter. But there you go. Alright, for me, this section's pretty straightforward. These two Shin Guards right there, I ended up gluing them both on. They come on ball joints, and for whatever reason, tolerance issues, whatever, they end up just popping off because you touch the figure. At least on mine. Can't say for everybody else. Don't care about anybody else. This is my stuff. So went ahead and glued them on, since they do move a bit back and forth, but there's no reason for them not to have been one piece in the first place. I just don't understand that. So, with each of these pistons for the arms, right? You can see it moves up and down fairly freely here. The reason why is because of a slight modification shown by Gerard on TFW 2005 message boards. So they come on really tight to the point where it's a struggle to even move. And then when you have it attached to him, when he's trying to move the arm, or we're trying to move his arm and things like that, it just becomes a pain, things fall off, and it just makes a mess. It's still not the best, but it's a whole lot better than it was with the piston being able to move. So to get that, what I did, it just pulls right out. There's a lip in that keeps it from falling out all the time. But you can see it when you have it in hand, but the rim there, just take off the least bit of the slightest layer of plastic, and do it a couple of times until, you know, with each time, put it in and out, see how it moves. But, you know, by mine, the third layer, I did really slight with a laser blade, or a razor blade, and it moves a lot more freely. Oh, it happens. Alright, so with this piece here, it was popping right off of that ball joint, this hip piece here. So I looked at expanding the ball joint, but that wasn't the case. The reason was because I had a lot of extra, you can see a little bit there from but it's from when I cut it. There was a lot of extra mold or flash there on the inside, and I just went ahead and cleaned that up a lot so that the ball joint could properly fit through, because the thing is, the ball joint kind of comes out of this hole as well, so there has to be space for it to do that. So if it pops off the ball joint, make sure that this hole is clean enough. And that's it in terms of the mods that I did. It's still not the best, and I went over that even post modification in my review, but it makes it a whole lot better than it was. Let me go ahead and pop his head back on. Watch out when balancing them. That maybe could have used the stand there. I'm just saying for myself. Not the smartest move, but again, this has been a transformation, as well as a couple of tips, tricks, advice video for Sentinel, the Riobot R-18 VR-052F Cyclone, Mospeada, Stick Bernard. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out the full written and pictorial review on kumstyle.com as well. Link will be in the description, as well as this info button right here. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.